So congratulations. Of course, it must be a momentous occasion on Monday to finally signing that piece of paper, the contract with government. Tell me about the process. How did it feel on Monday to finally reach financial close?
As you know, it's been a very long process. It started in 2003 with a government white paper introducing the possibility of renewables on the national grid. And then there was silence for 6 years, and then we had the NERSA regulations coming out in consultation paper in 2009. And only in 2010 did we start to see legal framework being established through the new electricity regulation acts, which allowed for renewable energy on the national grid as well as IPP programs. So it's been a very long and tiresome journey. So Monday was a very emotional day for everyone, basically.
And of course, you were the first IPP, in fact, to sign. What are your ambitions, Mulilo? What are Mulilo's ambitions in South Africa in the renewable energy space?
We have great ambitions. In the first round, we have two projects, solar PV in Daar and Prieska, 30 megawatts in total. In the second round, we have a hydro project, a small hydro, just under 10 megawatts. And then in the third round, we're looking to bid a few more projects, both in wind and solar. So we have high ambitions and in participating in the rounds as they continue to come.
What about the competitive landscape? Because the renewable energy industry as it is, it has high capital outlays. It's quite costly to go through just the bidding process.
Yes.
What is it like to be a smaller player in an industry that is quite expensive to operate in?
I think we were quite strategic in partnering with the right international partners, one of them being Longyon, which is a wind company which is Chinese, second biggest in China. Our second partner on the solar side being Gestamp Solar, also a large Spanish company. So it's been very tough, obviously, in terms of the finances. The due diligence process, for example, costs up to millions of dollars in consultants and legal fees. And particularly when there are delays, obviously the market was a bit uncertain. But I think what Monday did for the industry as a whole was create certainty, and you're starting to see international players also come on board and invest and set up shop here because they now believe.
More confidence.
Exactly.
You talk about international investors, but let's talk about the international renewable energy space. I think it was Vestas this week which came out and said more job cuts at Vestas.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of problems specifically at that company, but overall the renewable energy sector as a whole hasn't been doing so well. It's not that healthy. Is this a signal of things to come in South Africa?
I wouldn't say so necessarily. If you look at the American and the West and European market, the issue there has been an oversupply of, for example, wind turbines and panels, as well as a cut in the government subsidies, which was what was driving the market. So you've started to see a lot of European and American companies look at the South African market. Right now, our tariffs are still attractive. It's still a new market, and South Africa is not just the only place that international investors are looking at in the continent. I think they're looking to start here and look for other opportunities across the continent. So I don't think it's bad for things to come, bearing in mind that South Africa, we do need more electricity. It's not just a matter of renewable energy, it's about getting electricity on the grid.
That is needed, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, mandates from government there and guarantees from government for financial, when it comes to financial security. You talked about tariffs, but the nature of the bidding process means that tariffs are ultimately going to come down.
Yes.
At what point in time is that going to mean that you start questioning whether commercial viability of investing in the sector?
For example, I'll give you an example. Between round 1 and round 2, we saw a 40% cut between the solar PV tariffs, 21% in the wind tariffs. But it's a good and a bad thing. It depends which side you look at it. Obviously, we as the private sector all knew that the round 1 tariffs are too good to be true. We knew it was a lucky
So you're hoping
space.
to put away some money from that for the next project.
Exactly. But round 2 as well was still attractive. But what it's forcing us to do is partner up with bigger companies, get our stuff cheaper, and getting our EPC and O&M pricing correct. And I think for the consumer, it's a good thing because, as well as you've seen, there has been much resistance to tariffs coming up from Eskom's side. So I think it's a balancing where there's still profitability for the private sector, but at the same time, a fair price for the electricity produced at a consumer level.
I mean, ultimately, as an investor, you won't be bidding if it means that that you're not going to be making a profit?
I don't see us not making a profit.
I mean, I would assume that any investor wouldn't in fact be bidding to put up a project at a price that wouldn't work for them. So, and it's a bidding process, so the lowest price ultimately wins.
I think what the market's going to do is we need to be more creative as investors. It doesn't necessarily mean the prices. That's the whole point of competitive bidding, is to drive the prices down. You know, the government was quite clever in doing that. But I think where we can start saving on the costs is, now that we've done round 1 and 2, I would expect that the legal and consultants fees, I mean, you have bills coming up between 10 to 16 million per project, no matter how big the size is. So if you're bidding 5 megawatts, you still spend as much as if you're bidding 135 megawatts. So we need to start seeing costs coming down from that side, and as well as companies starting to be a bit more creative with who they partner up with, so that you still have a profitable project. Yeah.
You talk about, as you say, that, the quality, maintaining quality, but also getting the lowest cost at the right quality. What about government's broader plans when it comes to manufacturing? I mean, are we at a point in time right now where we can look at manufacturing local content for the renewable energy sector on any large scale?
Government is trying to introduce more local content through this process, and I think it is viable. For example, in the 3rd round, which is coming up in May 2013, there's a 45% threshold, meaning the deal value, 45% of it must have local content. And what that is going to start doing is building a local sector, which is important. But obviously, for large-scale manufacturing is what we'd like to see. We need to see more megawatts being rolled out by government. Luckily, the minister a few weeks ago came out saying they're introducing 3,200 more megawatts onto this program. So if we start seeing more of that coming, it encourages manufacturers to set up shop here.
But at this point in time, not quite yet.
Not quite yet. We're still new. We're still new. We're getting there. I don't think we can have it all at once.
Yeah. Broadly, I mean, you would hope that 47 billion rand also has broader socioeconomic benefits. And I know that government does want that to be a part of the renewable energy sector. From your side, how does that filter into your ambitions and your plans?
Well, it is a requirement in the RFP that at least 5% of the ownership in the project must go to a local community located within 50 kilometers of where your project is located. We as Mulilo are serious about community development, and we in fact have gone as far as to make our communities 20% shareholders in our SPVs. So what government is trying to do there is that there is a socio-economic impact in where we operate. For example, if you now go to places like Dar, you won't find property anymore, because that's where most companies are going to be.
And so they need, of course, housing for their staff.
Exactly. And you're going to start seeing that that town, which was virtually dead, starting to come alive again with small industry. And again, on the subcontracting level, the minister emphasized the need for women empowerment on that level, and black economic empowerment, of course, with local suppliers and local contractors as far as possible.